Okay, so 30th April 2022, we meet again today, Friends of Friends Psychology, and today we are going to discuss psychology, the matters of mind, from an angle of Yoga Sutra. And I'll give a brief introduction on what Yoga Sutra is. So, it's essentially yoga, and because I ended up doing yoga certification and etc., it pulled my attention, and I started loving it, the topic, right? So, as early as 400 BCE, there was this guy called Patanjali. His name was Patanjali. I can put it on the chat. And this guy was a kind of, I think the closest word that I can think about this guy was that he was like a scientist, if you like, right? Out of a lot of artifacts of books that he published, Yoga Sutra is the first documented artifact about yoga. And what does Yoga Sutra mean? He ended up writing 4 chapters, total of 195 sentences, which has kind of connection one after another after another. So he is like he made a necklace out of all of these pearls, if you like, correct? So that's Sutra. So he put it into one thread. That was the first time. So yoga is seemingly the very old. We don't know when it started, who started it, but this guy was the first one who started writing formally about yoga. And in that, he wrote 4 chapters based on different kinds of disciples and their conditioning and readiness. They can go towards each of the chapter, right? So the first chapter is for the highest level of disciples. Also, very interesting part is, and that's why I like to call him as a scientist. When he wrote the sentences are grammatically impeccable. People have tried challenging it, they couldn't. They are straight in their meanings. Nobody could add or remove a single word from it. People have tried and failed. But it was written in Sanskrit, and at that time people could understand. But now, as the Sanskrit language started getting less and less used, people started writing commentaries on it. So there are a lot of people who write commentaries on it. Swami Vivekananda's commentary, if you get interested in this topic, I think that guy's commentary is very nice. It's very simple, very practical, explains it. There is also a guy called Bhaspati. He writes on commentaries on top of this, and that book becomes this fat, right? 195 sentences versus commentaries become huge. And this guy, he writes about yoga, and most of the topic that this guy is writing about yoga is not about all the noodly asanas that we do, right? He's talking yoga in terms of matters of mind, right? So today we will try and touch upon Yoga Sutra, but we'll also try and touch certain other aspects of yoga, which I personally believe could be used for psychology aspects, for our self-inquiry, also for counseling, maybe, right? And that's what we want to discuss. Do we think these practices can be applied? So having said that, let me start sharing my screen, and I try to go. There are 2-3 topics that I want to cover, and we will cover them one by one. Okay, so I'll just push this on the other side. Can you see the screen? Can you see the slides? Okay, perfect. So matters of the mind in yoga. So we will talk about few yoga sutras in between. So the first yoga sutra he starts with, he says, and it's Sanskrit, it's called Atha Yoga Anushasana, which means he's saying, now let's start the discipline of yoga. And in certain texts, the translation would be, now let's start the pre-established discipline of yoga, because he's not the one who started it, it was always there. And the part that he starts, the first Yoga Sutra, the first sentence, the first word is a beautiful word, Atha. Atha had a kind of gravity in that time. When a teacher used to say Atha, everybody used to sit straight. They know something new is big is going to happen, right? From our current day psychology, from mindfulness, the here and the now aspect of being in the now fully, yeah, not being in the past, not being in future, not being lost in the noise outside and inside, but being here and now is what also the now word talks about. And we'll come to this word. Why do I like this word a lot, right? We'll discuss about this, but just covering some sutra just to set the tone of the things. And then he says, it's a sutra, right? So he said, okay, now yoga, the discipline of yoga starts. But what is yoga, right? What is yoga? So that's immediately the next sentence he talks about. He says, yogasya chitta vritti nirodha, which is Yoga is restraining. I don't like that word too much, but translation talks about restraining. It's cessation of mind stuff, right? It's cessation of the movement of the mind. In further sutras, he will also talk there are only 5 ways in which mind moves. And if you look at cognitive behavioral therapy, the kind of biases and list of details of biases and distortions are huge, right? This guy says there are 5 ways in which mind moves, right? We'll not talk today about that, but I just wanted to set the tone that immediately in the first few sentences is talking about mind stuff. He's talking about the movement of the mind, and we should stop the movement of the mind. Now, one may question why. And this guy, the genius he is, exactly the next sentence says, Tada drashtua swarupe avasthanam. What he's trying to say is, at that time, at what time? When the mind cessations are completely stopped, the seer rests in his or her true nature. So, if we are to know our true nature, which is arguably mindfulness is the default state of our mind is happiness. We don't have to work towards happiness. We just need to stop everything else and we are happy. This guy is saying, if you the cessation of the mind activities happen so that I can see my true self, right? And what happens if you don't do the cessation of mind? Then he says 1.4, he's saying everything else at every other time when my mind is moving, which for all of us I assume is all the time, at all the other times, the seer is not seeing himself, but seer is seeing only the modification based on his or her conditioning of the mind movements. So we experience the world as per the conditioning of our mind. We don't see ourselves and we don't see the things for what they are really. Right? This is what the top 4 Yoga Sutra says, and I'll stop here. There are a lot of, we can continue with that chain, but that's not the intent of today's session. Alessandra join in, I'll admit her. So it starts with, now starts the yoga discipline. Yoga is about cessation of mind activities. Why? So that I can see the true self of myself, also the world maybe. And when my mind movements are not seized, whatever I experience is based on the conditioning of my mind. Now, forget individualistic, our own thing, right? As a human race, it's fair to say that we have not cracked peace and happiness state of mind, sustaining more. There is more negative emotions, which means, according to him, these are all not the reality, but the conditioning of our own mind. And for that matters, the experience that we experience as reality is all because of our mind, right? Also, thoughts, feelings, behavior. In CBT, we always talk about that, right? It's not that event triggered the emotion, the belief system in between, the thoughts trigger that emotion. So I think it's all coming down eventually to that. Hi, Alessandra.
Hi, Jamin. Good morning. Hello, everybody.
Okay, so then any comments, any questions, anything that you find interesting, not interesting so far? No, all good? Okay, good. Then let's continue. And now we'll slowly we'll stop the Yoga Sutras, kind of. There will be some references coming up. But we'll now try to go towards the psychology of the things. So in Yoga Sutra, there are bhavas or attitudes, right? There are 4 key bhavas. And I like this concept a lot. And when we come to the last one, I'll tell you why, right? So bhavas in literal sense is the feeling or an attitude. There are 4 key bhavas or 4 key feelings or attitudes. The first one is the bhava of duty, the dharma bhava, right? So my attitude or feeling of a duty. The second one is jnana bhava or knowledge. The third one is vairagya bhava, which is objectivity or letting go, for example. We can also look at vairagya bhava as letting go, and we'll talk all 4 of them in detail. And aishwarya bhava is self-reliance in terms of even being happy and steadfast within ourselves, right? We don't need anything else. Now the fun part starts. Let's cover one by one each of these things. So Dharma Bhav, uh, what yoga says is that your topmost duty is what is written in 1.2, which is cessation of the mind movements so that I can experience myself and the world as real. Now that's yogic way of leading a life, right? But I also wanted to touch upon that from a psychology standpoint, when maybe there are conflicts, we should look very closely in which duty attitude or duty feeling we are in, especially when there are multiple hats we wear. We wear a hat of student, we wear a hat of a mother, maybe wear a hat of a friend, we wear a hat of an employee, right? We wear a hat of, I don't know, everything else, right? Now there are always these hats which may conflict with each other. So at any given point in time, what is the duty that I should pay attention towards, right? Now, for example, if you are a student and you have an exam tomorrow, and you are a mother and your child needs you, may not need you in your definition, not that something, they just need attention from you, right? It's not really a very serious need, but they need attention from you. Now, which is a duty that you should adhere to? What should you do? Any feedback on that? Which, so yogic lifestyle, right, is about the topmost duty is cessation of mind. But we can't work towards that all the time. We are not yogis, we are regular householders, right? So before we go there, in our multiple hatted duty, which duty should take preference? Any thought or any experience around these conflicting duties? Now I'm not able to hear you, Renu.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not knowledgeable in this, but then since you asked the question, what comes to my mind is probably what is a priority right then? It is, if the child is crying, I can't be saying that, I have to go and look at these things. I have to attend to my crying child. If I have an exam tomorrow, I can't say that, okay, this movie is interesting, I must watch this movie, but instead I must concentrate on my studies. I suppose, I mean, that's my understanding of what it says about how we discriminate and how we decide what we should be doing, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For the second example, if I have exam tomorrow, but I need a break and I want to see a movie, what duty should I adhere to?
I think Billy wants to say, she's raised her
Yeah,
hand.
Yes, there is a saying in my country that says, first comes the duty, then comes the pleasure. And it has to do with prioritizing. That you have to understand the importance of things in the time sequence. There are things, everything is important in a different aspect, but you have to see what is the time now that needs my attention now, that has to do with the well-being of me, in the case of the children too. I mean, I'm a mother, so obviously the stove has to be turned off because something else is happening, or the child needs to wait because the stove is on. But I need the clarity to put things in their correct order, in their importance.
Right, right, right. Thank you for sharing that, Pilar. Thank you, Renu. I think we already nailed it, right? My personal viewpoint on this is, and that's why I said I'll come back to the word atha now. I think in the now, right now, not necessarily in the time, because even in my personal experience, even if I plan, say, the chronology of things in terms of importance, and it's not about pleasure, but it's about two duties. From a chronology of time perspective, it may still conflict, right? But in the now, right then, I feel that there can only be one of the duties, one of the hats that is important now. Not because my exam is tomorrow or anything else which is tomorrow. Now, am I here sitting with a book in my hand and am I a student? When my child walks in and holds my hand, am I still a student or am I a mother? Now, in this moment, right? And that's why I love the atha word that we saw in the first Yoga Sutra. So maybe while cessation of fluctuation of mind is our primary duty as regular householders, we can start with atha in terms of trying always to see what is my duty in the now and focus there. For example, when I'm playing tennis, my duty is to play tennis. Now, while playing tennis, I can't contemplate on psychology. I can't, okay, let me remember the answers that may come up in my exam, right? No, I'm conflicting. I'm not in the right duty, state of duty, for example. That's what I think, right? But we can explore that. Then comes Jnana Bhava. So Jnana Bhava, there is a Yoga Sutra 2.6. Will not go into the Sanskrit version of it, but it talks about very nice thing. It talks about egoism is identification of a seer with the instrument of seeing, which is the body and the mind. So there is what Yoga Sutra is trying to tell is that in each of us, there is a seer. And as soon as we identify the seer with this mind and body, the I-ness, right? That is where the problem starts. That's ego, nothing else, right? And ego going unchecked is high, and only through the true knowledge one can be free from suffering and pain. But then true knowledge, which is a direct perception of what is, right? Based on Yoga Sutra 1.3, we only realize that when I cease all the fluctuation of minds, only then can I ever try to see what is, right? Which means I can only see things when I don't use judgments, don't use labels, don't use memorized concept. All my past knowledge, the summation of everything which is past, which is not in the now, right, is diluted, then I see the thing for what it is, right? There was a very nice mindfulness experiment done sometimes in one of the groups that I was part of. They came up with 3 reasons for each of the members. They gave the first reason, they said eat. So everybody ate, and somebody said, it was good, it was sweet, it was sour. I don't like this kind of raisin, I like that kind of raisin, blah, 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 blah. Then they gave the second reason. Now they said, first hold the raisin and watch. Just watch. Move it around, see every texture, see every curve on it, see the color, everything. Just see all the minute details. And they made them spend good amount of time just looking at the raisin. Then they said, just hold it on your lips for some time. Try and press it with your lips, not your teeth yet. And try and just feel it on your teeth. Don't bite on it yet. And then gently take the first 3 bites and see what your tongue feels like. And then gulp and eat. And evidently what everybody, more or less everybody, came up with an answer was, came up with a feedback was, oh, this is one of the sweetest raisins we have ever eaten. I've never realized raisin had so many qualities in it. But the trick is not there. The trick is, my favorite part of that entire story is the third raisin. Right? Now, everybody was given one more raisin. And they were asked, do what you want with it and eat. So some people ate it. Some people tried to do that. Again, seeing, feeling, and eating. Most of their experiences had dipped. Even people who tried again to repeat the experience of seeing it, putting on the lips, biting it, the experience dipped. Why did the experience dip? Because there was an expectation of repetition of the experience which is of the past. Nobody was in the now anymore. The expectation of repetition of an experience, so knowledge, which is an acquisition summation of all the past thoughts, was a hurdle to be in the now and experience that, one of the best raisins I've ever eaten. So the third was a beautiful one, right? So I think now in this group, and we discussed, for example, we just changed the fruit just to change the context. We said, in this group, we can never taste an apple ever again, because we all have a concept of what apple is. We all know how it tastes like, and we all have an expectation of how it should taste. We don't even imagine that it will be a sour, completely sour apple. We don't think there is a knowledge, there is a label, and then we are not in now. We can never experience a real apple ever in this group, right? So that's knowledge, direct perception, without judgments, labels. The third bhava is Vairagya bhava. Vairagya bhava, again, there is a Yoga Sutra, will not go through it, but uh, what it talks about is that only through true knowledge, which is the previous step, only through true knowledge, that one may cease the expectation or attachment of materialistic things or things that are made in the nature, right? That there will be a non-attachment. How can the non-attachment happen? The real good sustaining non-attachment can only happen with a true knowledge. Of course, there could be pain, negative things because of which we start getting detached, but that's painful, right? This non-attachment is based on our knowledge, direct perception of things, that we start disassociating, non-identification with our thoughts, the memories, etc. Then you go into Vairagya Bhava. You come more and more towards objectivity rather than subjectivity. And the fact of the matter is that outcomes are not in our control anyways, right? So what's the point of hanging on to it? And if we hang on to it, it's not Vairagya Bhava. Then comes the last bhava, which is Aishwarya Bhava, which is self-reliance. So in practice, if you don't have non-attachment, right, trying to continuously do the things to stop the vrittis of the mind, or trying to be in the now, trying to do direct perception, that's practice, right? So definition of practice. And why do we do that practice? So that we can become self-reliant. And now this is where I'll try to tell. I'm sorry, I'm taking a little longer thing, but I hope I'm not boring all of you. But this is the 4 bhavas which I think can be used for counseling, and I'll tell you how. Aishwarya bhava is self-reliance, which is steadfast, self-reliant, happy, especially when I'm true, especially when I'm right. And I think most of us would agree over here that maybe most of the times in our life, when we have been right, we have been experiencing negative emotions. I am right, she doesn't understand. In a fight, I am right. Why is the person not understanding me? I am right. Why could my boss do something like this to me? Right? There have been so many times when we have been right, and because of that, experience negative emotions. But when we say we are right, we should be happy, we should be steadfast, and we should be self-reliant, right? When we are not, maybe the previous 3 bhavas that we discussed, there is something wrong in one of them. Maybe we are not in the right state of duty in the now. Maybe we don't know ourselves, our mind, and situation directly perceived. Maybe we are not having the Vairagya bhava, which is the let go, the objectivity. One of these could be a problem, because of which Aishwarya bhava is denied. Yes, Pilar.
Thank you. So talking about the self-reliance, it comes to mind. I was telling you before we started the program,
Yeah.
that yesterday I was feeling very melancholy because of my parents' deaths.
Yeah.
So thinking about the self-reliance, the right I have to go through that melancholy, because it is a way of being true to the pain of my loss.
Yes.
Even though we may consider negative emotion, the sadness, the melancholy, because the emotions come with their sisters.
Yes.
It's not only, she or he was so good, but, oh, and they did this to me. So it's always an avalanche of emotions.
Yes.
So in the self-reliance, I, from my truth, allow myself to go through all these emotions and allow myself to feel them, and allow myself to cry, to get angry, to whatever, because that is my true nature.
Yes.
What I do next, that's the question. What happens next? I go through them, and I understand that once I go through them, I say, yes, and I'm grateful I have this. It's okay that I feel this way. and then I go back to the other step and I let it go.
Yes.
So am I understanding you correctly, Jamin?
A, a lot of aspects, right? So what we are talking about, the knowledge, the jnana bhav, direct perception of what is. I think here there is a tick mark, right? So you know that you need to go through this and you allow yourself to go through this. Fine, thumbs up over here, right? And even if this means that when you allow yourself, if it's a negative emotion per se, you know it's not really negative, it's a choice that you're making to go towards positive, which is fine. But when you are now in a session where you are going to narrate a story, who are you? What's your duty? Now, there is my duty of a child who is trying to remember the parents, good and bad part all, and allowing through the knowledge that I know about myself, allowing me to cry, or you are a storyteller. In that point, what is the dharma? And even most important, according to me, so knowledge part check mark, dharma maybe you need to check. I don't know, right? It's only you who can check it. But the last part, in that episode of storytelling, are you approaching it with objectivity? Are you approaching it with the non-attachment to the results? Your duty is to tell the story. It may or not may it may or it might be the third reason for all you know, right? It might not be the second reason for everybody all the time in our story context, right? Because it's not maybe the way you were in it's not your mindset, it's not your pitch, but maybe it's somebody else's mood problem the other day, right? Their feedback is not coming to you. Can you do your duty with a non-attachment at that point in time, get that thing over, come back to uh, allowing yourself grief or angry or whatever, continue. So I think the overlapping of duties is a problem. In the now, what's the duty? Does it make sense? Renu, Alessandra, complete crap, not making sense, too much abstract.
No, it's not. It definitely is abstract, and it requires a little more thought. And yeah, but may I share something with the
Yes, please.
permission of everybody?
Yes, please, of course.
Over here, I think I'm mispronouncing PILI. If you could tell me the right, because I
No,
hear
we
Jamin
all
saying
friends call her Pili because I was introduced to her as Pilar. I keep calling her Pilar.
okay, so what do we call you?
Call Pili.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you
Pilar.
can call
I'm telling
me
her.
Pili.
Uh,
Pilar. Pili is like the short pet name of Pilar.
okay. Okay. And your name over there reads. I think I would like to kind of go with what Billy has said, because all emotions are noble and it is okay for us to experience all the emotions. But yes, like you also said, at some point, what happens is when we allow ourselves to go through those emotions, the objectivity comes in. The sense of duty also draws in. But it's okay to make that choice. You also mentioned it that it is my choice to be able to feel sad. It is my choice as long as I'm aware that it is a choice that I am making and I'm not blaming somebody else for what's happening to me. So I just wanted to revalidate that because I've kind of uh, I kind of somewhere connected with what Billy was saying. Since you asked, otherwise I would have kept quiet.
No, absolutely. Friends of friends. We need to talk. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
Alessandra, anything? Alessandra, we are not able to see you still.
I'm a little bit of a mess, but here I am. I haven't been talking a lot today because I've been trying to learn new all you're sharing with us and trying to understand it.
Yeah.
It reminded me of when we were in the mindfulness group that you had.
Yeah.
And yeah, things, they start like fitting into a puzzle. Very interesting.
Yeah.
How everything like goes together. And thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Alessandra. Yeah, I mean, from just very quickly without going too much into abstract.
Thank you,
Again,
Jimmy.
yeah, thank you, Alessandra. So, I think what I feel is this could be sometimes used from a counseling approach, especially in not in examples that Pilar gave, but a lot of people who would come with the fact that they are angry or facing negative emotions, not as a choice, really facing negative emotions, especially when they think they are right. And then we could touch upon these four things to see where the conflict is, right? Because you need to be in Aishwarya Bhav when you're right. So maybe your duty or knowledge of what's happening or objectivity is missing, right? Those three are needed. And then if you're right, you will be self-reliant mentally, for example, right? So maybe that could be used in counseling approaches sometimes. Yeah. Going ahead, what's the time? Okay, I won't go through this Sadhak Badak Tattva. I'll go through. Okay, or let's go through it. Let's go through it. So, what Yoga Sutra is also talking about is it's talking about qualities and attitudes which could be either hurdle or which could assist you in leading a good life, and in this case, a life of a yoga, right? So, there are 6 um, behaviors or attitudes that could become hindrance in living a yogic lifestyle, right? A happy, steadfast, self-reliant lifestyle mentally. The first one is atyahara, which is overeating, right? So we should, of course, eating has a lot of things to do with body, and body has to do with mind. Then prayasa, which is overexertion, over trying to do anything. Prajalpa, which is talkativeness, so too much talking. Have the silent time to go and reset your mind. The fourth one is very, very interesting, and I'll touch upon that why, because there is a complementing sadhak tattva. Niyamagraha, adhering to rules. Now, this is always very much misunderstood. People talk about discipline, right? I have to get up every day and do my meditation at 5 o'clock, for example, or I have to do my walk of 10 kilometers every day at so and so time, which is fine, which is resolution, but that should not be a niyam agraha. It should not be a forceful adherence to the rule, be it whatever. And we will touch upon that again a little bit later. Jana Sangha is too much meeting up and too much socialization, too much meeting up with people, because their thoughts, their lust, their anger, miseries, egos, etc., will have an impact on your mind. And while we are not steadfast in our mind, all of this will impact us and our progress. And lolium, which is fickle-minded, inconsistencies, right? Always. So these are the 6 major badhak tattvas. So we can always do a self introspection, seeing which are the ones which troubles us personally the most, right? And then how do we try to overcome it, right? For me, for example, I think for longest time the first one was my biggest badhak tattva, eating a lot. But then I realized when I started looking deep into it, I think the second badhak tattva, which is overexertion, pushing myself too hard to whatever I try and do, I think that's the main reason. And atyahar, overeating, was a side effect of it. My mind needed food to work and settle out my stresses. So trying too hard, not resting enough, etc. Right. So that was talkative. All of you know I talk a lot, right? So most of these things, I think when I go through, I feel all of these are major badhak tattvas. But the second one, which is trying too hard and not resting, I think that's one of my bigger badhak tattvas, if you like, right? And then there are equally, now we have sadhak tattvas. What are the good qualities and attitudes that could assist you in your life towards a happy life, right? So the first one is enthusiasm, utsaha, right? The second one is courage, sahas. Courage, I always like a sentence which I had read somewhere. Courage is going from failure to failure, without losing enthusiasm. So it touches back to Utsaha. So I like that sentence of courage is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. Perseverance, which is dhairya, right? Discriminative knowledge, direct perception, again, if you can look at it like that. So tattva jnana. Fifth one, which is nischaya or determination. And this is where I was going to touch upon niyamagraha versus determination. What's the difference? I'll open up for discussion on that soon. And then the last one, which can help you, is if there it was over socialization, here it is stay away from social interaction for some time. Find your me time, find your silence time, try and find your space, especially when you're working on yourself, right? Need your me time. So these are the six sadhak tattvas, which is tattvas that will help you. It's part of Hatha Yogas. It's not part of the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Yeah, the Hatha Yoga came up later when there was a guy, Swatmaram. He said, yoga in terms of asana and also help you to go towards the mind. While Patanjali was trying to talk all abstract big things, let's start from body and go towards the mind. Right. That is where he had come up with this sadhak and badhak tattvas. So, and any of you can share inputs on any of this, but what I wanted to bring upon as a topic for us to is what's the difference between this niyamagraha, which is actually a hurdle, versus this determination, which is resolution to carry out something in all circumstances. What's the difference? Niyamagraha is adhering to the rules steadfast, no matter what, I will do it, right? But then this determination also sounds similar, saying, I resolve to carry on the practice under all circumstances. It's a very thin line, and what I'm trying to come up in discussion is what's that thin line which differentiates, and one becomes a hurdle for us, while the other becomes assistance. Any thoughts? Yes, Pilar.
That when you are in the hurdle part, it doesn't matter if you are hungry, it doesn't matter if you are sad, it doesn't matter if you're stressed out. So you are going against the other rules. You cannot be determined to do something to the extent if you are in the number 2. Some days you just have to rest. Some days you just have to cut down a little bit the line, because it is too much for the body, or it is too much for the mind.
Yes.
Or sometimes the external elements are, for example, you cannot go running in a storm.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though you go running every day at 6 a.m., running in a storm is a bad idea.
It's a bad idea. Stay home.
So you postpone, or you just jog a little bit in your place in your house or something, but it's a bad idea. So you have to pay attention to the surrounding.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. Niyamagraha nischaya.
Yeah, I suppose it's a combination between flexibility and objectivity. When to be bound by the rules and when to actually let go of those resolutions, depending on the situation. Like, I think running in a storm, that was a good example. So it's to be able to balance that flexibility and objectivity along with the determination. What is the right time to do what? That knowledge, that discrimination probably is something that comes to my mind. Yeah.
Running in a storm is a bad idea. I agree. But let me give a example and ask all of you a question, right? So now I decide that, okay, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, do yoga every day. That's my resolution. I want to get up at 5 o'clock and do my yoga. Now my alarm goes off. I stop my alarm. Now I'm feeling a little more sleepy. I'm feeling a little more lazy. There is no storm out there. I'm just feeling a little more lazy. Now, should I get up and do the yoga? Assuming yes, because that's my resolution. Now, what quality could take it towards Badhak Tattva, which is a hurdle, versus what could go towards assistance? What's the line to draw there? Yeah, Renu, please go ahead.
I guess that's a question only you can answer, whether you're being lazy or whether you're being, whether there's a genuine reason. You might have had a late night, your body may be tired. So you have to be honest to yourself to know whether it is a badhak or whether it is a sadhak.
Very nicely put. I'm lazy. I'm lazy. That's, I know I'm lazy. I'm telling you that it's just laziness. I had slept in the right time, but my body's just feeling lazy today morning. Then what should I do? And does it become nischaya, or does it go as a badhak tattva? It becomes a, adhering to rules.
You better get up and do your yoga.
Get up and do.
If you know that you're being lazy. Or some days it's okay if it is once in a month or once in 10 days also. I suppose it's okay. We are entitled to our own moods and one odd day to kind of pamper ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as it is not a daily affair.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand. No, what I'm trying to come up at is there a hard line that we can draw? Because all of this is very relative, right? Is once in a month okay? Is once in a week okay? Where do I draw the line, right? What is this? Is a little bit windy okay for me to run, right? Is 30 degrees okay? Is 45 degrees okay? Where do I draw the line? What's the line that clearly defines between these two things? Is what I was trying to come up at, right? And I think we all are speaking that. We all are. I think we are coming to that, and maybe I'll tell my viewpoint on this after thinking. And that's not written anywhere in yoga. It's just this Jamin's silly viewpoint, right? So just to draw that line, I think in yoga there is a lot of emphasis on a quality called ahimsa. Ahimsa is non-violence. Non-violence first towards yourself in your mind, in your body, and then in interaction with others. It starts with your mind. So I think getting up and doing yoga can be both, depending on the violence in my head to start with for my own self. I think it starts there. Am I really conflicting my need of being lazy and saying and blaming myself, no, this is wrong, Jim, and get up, and you shouldn't be lazy, and how you are a sloth, and get up, start doing yoga, right? That's violence. Versus saying, I know I'm feeling lazy, but I know that as soon as I hit the mat in next 10, 20 minutes, I'm going to feel very nice. Let's do it. See the subtle difference. So I think externally what happens as an outcome comes way later. It starts on your first thought around that laziness. If the thought is violent, if the seed is violent, there cannot be a piece that comes out of it. A tree, a fruit and a tree that would be a violent thing eventually. So I think the difference between the nischaya, determination, versus adhering to rules is violence. So in your mind, in your body, and relationship with other. Now I have decided I want to sit in meditation, silent in my room. Now my daughter knocks on the door and comes in. I told her don't come in, but now she comes in. Now whatever I do in terms of no, go out, or I keep my eyes closed and continue, that all could mean any of these two things. Am I being violent in my thought about what she did and violent in my word and reactions maybe towards her? But already first step is in my mind. Did I become violent towards her? Then it is sticking to the rules, adhering to the rules no matter what. Right? And if there is non-violence involved, after that you sleep or you do yoga. Now, if there is non-violence in your head, it may be a bad idea, but if you really want to go running in storm, do it. But are you non-violent towards yourself? in mind and in body. A body you might not be non-violent if you go out and storm, right? So I think that's a differentiator I feel between these two things. That's a concrete line. Now, based on that line, you may be once in a week rest, or once in a month rest, or rest for 2 months. That's okay. But that is a line maybe that we could draw. Maybe, I don't know. That's my way of looking at it, right? So I think these are Sadhak Badhak Tattvas. We can also look at this in counseling perspective for self. We could look at the Badhak Tattvas. As I said, for me, Prayasa is more, so I know what I have to work towards, right? And then we could also look at Sadhak Tattvas. What are these? Which are these qualities which I inherently have with me? And work on that and make it even more stronger. Use that to cut our Badhak Tattvas, right? So this is also some way of looking at mind and taking it ahead. And last maybe 5 minutes, in Yoga Sutra they talk about, but all of this is okay. We can't sit in meditation. We can't always be non-violent, blah, 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 blah. So I first need to start cleansing my mind. Now, does yoga talk about how to start cleansing my mind? And cleansing my mind, because we are social being, should be in relationship with other. I can be very peaceful drinking my coffee in my balcony all by myself, right? But now when somebody is chattering something which I don't want to hear, right? That's the place where I need to start, right? So in Yoga Sutra, cleansing the mind in relationship with other, there are some guidance. They said, try this and your mind will start slowly cleansing, which means slowly the movements of the minds will start it will start reducing. Forget cessation. At least it will start reducing and then you get more clarity. So what are those thing 1.33? I'll not go into detail, but what it means is there is a concept called parikarmas. There are 4 parikarmas, 4 approaches in relationship with other that you could do more often than not to cleanse your mind. The first parikarma is Maitri. It's not Mitrata. There is a small difference. What is the difference? Is friendliness versus friendship. So what we are saying is keep friendliness with somebody who is equal to you, for example. Like treat them as if a friend came at late night and opened the door and knocked at your door. How are you going to behave, right? So behave like that. Friendliness, not friendship. Friendship comes with expectation. Then there is a problem. So friendliness with your equals. Then they talk about karuna with your people who are lower than you. Lower than you in terms of any ways, right? Lower than you in compassion, lower than you in your knowledge, lower than you in your status at your job, lower than you in income, lower than you in any ways, right? Lower than you in just common sense. Some people are lower than you in common sense. It's fine. Have karuna, have compassion with them, right? One of the famous stories of Ramakrishna Paramhans, arguable, but just to give you the extreme of what karuna looks like, compassion looks like. He's saving a drowning scorpion while the scorpion keeps biting him and going into the water again, but he still picks up, bites, still goes in. And he saves the scorpion. And a bystander tells, why are you doing it? The scorpion is biting you. He's saying, if scorpion doesn't leave his nature, why should I leave my? Even scorpion doesn't leave his nature. I'm a human. Why should I leave my nature? My nature is compassion. Mudita, one of my strongest thing towards I want to work towards is no, sorry, that is upeksha. Mudita is feeling joy in others' joy, in others' success. If somebody is more successful than you, have a goodwill, have a joy in their joy. Especially if we have a stupid boss, right? But they are ahead of you for some reason. Something is there. We don't know. There is something because of which somebody is ahead of you. In knowledge, in money, in status, in whatsoever thing, be joyous in their joy. Right? Have a goodwill with people who are more successful than you, more ahead than you. The last one is, what do you do with evil that you see, negative that you see? So there is upeksha. Upeksha is indifference. How? Which kind of indifference? Benevolent indifference. Right? The story of Namdev. There was a saint who goes to take bath before doing his prayer. While coming, somebody spits on him. But think about his objectivity and benevolent indifference to the evil. He doesn't even look at that person. Now here, let's look at the non-violence part, right? It's not that he avoids and tries to not look at the person. Not that, oh, I'm angry, but I shouldn't look at him. That's already too late. He, in his mind, is completely objective, completely indifferent to the source of the evil. He knows somebody spat on him. So what should he do? He should go clean himself again. So he goes to take bath again. Comes, somebody spits again. What does he do? Go take bath again. That's the best course of thing. That's the next best thing he could do anyways, right? So benevolent indifference to evil, not judgmenting, not cutting out. Okay, I cut out from evil, right? Actions again doesn't matter. It already starts in your mind. Is your mind violent? Did you register violence immediately? If somebody spits on you, now are you thinking about a spit on your face or the person who spit on you? Where is your thought? That already is a problem. And so what in yoga they are saying is use indifference, benevolent indifference towards evil. Look at it from objective standpoint. Look at the spit and what you need to do with it, and not the person. We don't get equally angry on a bird if it comes and shit on a car, right? But if a person comes and spits on you, the context changes, right? Context changes completely. So friendliness with our equals, compassion for somebody lower than you, mudita or joyfulness in others' joy who are more successful than you, better than you in all the ways, upeksha, benevolent indifference towards evil things. So what they're saying is do this parikarmas, do this 4 things to start cleansing your mind, start cleansing your chitta vrittis. Why? So that I can rest in my true self and know my true self, which is joyous. Maybe, we don't know. But with that, I would stop. Again, one of these sessions where it was not typical our psychology talks, a little bit of different impulses which I wanted to give. Yeah, Pilar, speak out. I see now, only now the chat.
Thank you. It has a lot to do what you were saying. I'm a very friendly person in general. I will say good morning, how are you? And I know the names of the janitor and the cleaning lady and the guard and how are you doing? And you look troubled. What happened? And just some kind words to show that you recognize their existence in the plane where they are. And this has to do with a belief of mine that we are all the same person.
Yeah.
We are the same person. And sometimes the problem is the weight you give to the actions, like the example of the saint that you were saying. Is it this person going to accept it as, oh, I was injured? What is the weight the person is giving? Or saying, that person's spit, that is his problem.
In his
My
story,
problem is to be clean. His problem is his aggression. His problem is his hatred, his whatever. And if I accept it, I make it mine. I recognize that that person has a right to do wrong to me, or to offend me or whatever. And I give all the power of my emotions and my peace to that person. And this is something you learn in my profession. I mean, I work with high school kids who one day are lovely and the other day they're demons, and they want to hurt everybody, and they are angry and everything is horrible and whatever. And I mean, I cannot take personal, because once a student of mine who's usually a very kind girl, I was telling her, in 5 minutes I'm going out, and if I don't have your paper, I'm not going to grade it, and you get a 0, and that's that. And stop it, you beep. She insulted me, and I was like, the whole classroom was like, what's going on? And I said, okay, baby, how much time do you need? But she didn't sweep me from my emotions. How much time do you need? She was having a horrible day. The day before, she caught her father kissing another woman, and she was in hell. It was very hard for her. She was angry against the world, but it was not mine. That anger was not to me. I had done nothing to. I was asking for a class exercise, something I do every day, but I don't. I try at least not to get it personal. Sometimes you want to smack them, yes, but you don't. And you say, okay, it's in a process. That's the problem they are going through. And I guess the knowledge that you were talking about before has to do with recognizing what is their responsibility and what is my responsibility and where is the line and what can I do to solve it if I can or I can't. And if I can't, just be positive, offer a hand in case they need a hand in something, and give it a rest.
Yeah.
But and it's funny because sometimes we think, no, we have to practice that when we are with ourselves and we try the harmony. No, you practice that outside with the drivers,
yes,
with the other people, with everyone.
Yeah.
So and that is sometimes it's way harder to practice outside than inside, because inside we are so pretty usually.
Yeah. No, I mean, fantastic, right? I think there is a little difference here. Think maybe, I'm not sure if I understood you fully, but there is a small difference. I think it's already a very powerful technique to not make others aggression or others negative are negative by acknowledging. I think in Namdev's story is talking about benevolent indifference. Indifference as in he in his head did not even register the fact that somebody spat on him. He only registered he has spit on his face, which needs to be cleaned. Yeah. So registering it and telling, okay, I will be indifferent to it as a choice is still a slight conflict, which it's already a powerful practice for us. If we can do that 9 out of 10 times, even 8 out of 10 times, we are awesome. We are really good human beings. But from the knowledge of the knowledge source that we are talking about, his knowledge is so steadfast that the focus is only on spit. There is no spitter. That's the difference. Yeah? So there is no aggressor. There is effect of aggression on me, and my focus is on the effect alone for me to work on. Yeah, that's the slight difference. Maybe is what they are trying to tell with this upeksha, the indifference. That has to be rooted in the knowledge to start with, which has to be rooted in the now. It goes cyclic then. So, yeah, but thank you for sharing. Anything else, Renu? Renu, we generally don't discuss this kind of things.
Yeah. No, that was very interesting. And it was nice meeting two new friends of yours. And yeah, we look forward, I look forward to more learning. It was a very nice sharing. It was a different perspective. We do quite a bit of this in our counseling, but the perspective, there was a new perspective to the whole thing. So that is what I enjoyed. And thanks to meeting Pinny and Alessandra also.
Hey, good. Alessandra?
I agree with Renu. It was great. It was a very interesting meeting. Lots of new things to learn. I missed you guys. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessandra. Thank you. Okay, then I think we will call it a day. And Renu, always feel free. We all do it in turns, one after the another. So if you have a topic from psychology that you want to discuss and host the dialogue, please feel free to recommend a topic and then we share the link. Right. So let's keep it going now, at least irregularly regular. Let's keep meeting once in a while and then start discussing more and more topics. Right. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Wish you
Bye-bye.
good day.
Bye.
Bye.